Welcome to a long overdue tier list, in my opinion, of ranking the Library of Ruina Waifus. So we're going to be going pretty much chronologically here. Found a list and it's mostly arranged, I mostly sorted it to be chronological, added a few characters that are missing, stuff like that. But otherwise, we're just gonna go right into it. I feel like the categories here are all pretty self-explanatory, and they're rated top to bottom, so top is best. The only one to explain is that if evil while hot refers to characters that are just... Because the villains can be higher than this, for sure. It's basically just referring to the fact that these are characters that are villains and they're hot, but that's all they have going for them. For me, villainesses kind of get extra points just by merit of being villainesses. I can't really explain why, it's just a thing. Anywho, let's get started. First up, we have Angela. She goes in the best girls category. I think it kind of goes without saying. You spend the whole game getting to know her better, understanding her point of view, her justifiable resentment towards things, given the fact that we can't even properly comprehend the torture she went through of spending tens of thousands of years where she also perceives time slower and repeating loops of people dying. That would demolish any person's psyche. She essentially spent like 1,000,000 years or something like that, if you do the math, just watching people die in a loop that she's seen and played over and over again. So, yeah, pretty justifiable, that said. I mean, I like the aesthetic a lot. I like her character arc over the course of the story. I like her personality. She's funny at times. I don't know, not much else to say. She's just a solid character. Next up, we have Malkuth. Oh geez, sorry, my cat just jumped in my lap. I'm gonna put her in, maybe this might be controversial. I'm gonna put her in acceptable. I think she's decent. She's got a straightforward, nice personality, but there's not a whole lot to me going on that draws me into her. For the most part, like I guess she's fine. I think she's acceptable. She's above boring for sure. I could see myself dating them, but I wouldn't call them like a waifu where it's like, oh, I need to date. I wish this person was real type of thing. They're just decent. They're okay. Hod. I think she's probably also gonna be going in acceptable. I think. Again, there's nothing wrong with them. They're good characters, but we don't spend a ton of time getting to know them too much. I mean, we do have all of the cutscenes, after you do, their floor realizations and stuff. Hod's nice in that she seems very empathetic to the fellow coworkers and everything they're going through, and she has that, book club she sets up as a pseudo, almost therapy thing, where she talks to them, which is nice and all, but, she's very reserved compared to the rest of the cast, and I think she's fine. Like I said, I think she's fine, acceptable, decent, do whatever you want to call it. Just, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not everything needs to be wifey or best girl. Not everything needs to, must be boring or whiny. That, it's good to have things in the middle that are solid options to help others stand out more. Whether they're better or worse. So, though I will admit that this isn't making a super great start to this, because also going into acceptable, we have Tippereth. She's bratty and has very feisty energy, which I do like, but also she seems a bit immature and it looks too childlike to really be too high up here, unfortunately. I know that part's not necessarily her fault, but doesn't really change her placement because of it. So she's all the characters that are on the side of the library are decent and good and well written. It's just as far as waifu material goes, not all of them are going to be as good as the others. But on the topic of waifu material, though, we got absolute firecracker Jabura. The only thing about her that I'm not big on is how often she smokes, because IRL smoking makes me really nauseous. Cigarette smoke makes you nauseous, so I wouldn't. So that would be an adjustment period. But we'd grow for that, baby. I feel like I just want to say I don't need to explain anything, but that's not the point of this type of video. So, very much strong tomboy energy. I'm a big fan of muscle mommy. But even outside of those more superficial ones, as far as personality goes, I very much do like the way she conducts herself and how you can tell through that she doesn't always know how to say the things she wants to say, but her actions always tell you like her true character. Like she's always willing to fight and take on burdens in place of others whenever she can. Ironic given how her 4 plays out, where you basically sacrifice your whole team to make her stronger. But we're gonna ignore that part. But like, and obviously when she was in her past lives, like as Kali, her whole thing was she tried to take on as much burden as she can to protect other people and whatnot. So overall, I mean, I just think she's pretty dang good. These two are actually really close, so hard to say who I prefer between them. I'm gonna for now lean towards this, but because I like redheads, but we'll see. Ooh, this is a tough call. Do I put Bina in best girls or wifeys? I think for now, to diversify the pool a bit, I'm gonna put her in wifeys. She's great, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I'm gonna put her as high as the others. Now, she's very philosophical, and to the point where sometimes it does feel like she's just saying things in a flowery way just to try to sound complex or emotionally deep and intellectual. Sometimes where she'll like say things that don't need to really be said with all that much complicated manner, like just because I think she likes the way it sounds. Like I could imagine you would ask in a relationship, you might ask her, "Did we get any new toilet paper?" And then she would say something along the lines of, "But what is it to acquire toilet paper? Why do we as a species need them? Is it something that we simply adapted out of necessity to not feel like shit and not be reminded of the state of our lives?" And you'd be like, "I'm lady, just give me a yes or no," you know. But aside from that, though, she's got a very interesting depth to her, and she obviously, you know, was definitely evil in the past, being one of the arbiters, but she's sort of evolved now after her time. Minor spoilers for the end of the game that I haven't gotten to in my series yet, but when the head comes back, she still sides with the library, even though she maybe could have used it as a chance to get back in with them or something. So it's very interesting, and obviously aesthetically speaking, chef's kiss. Really like the outfit, the whole attire she runs kind of really pulls things together. And again, I like a woman that could kick my ass. I've said that many times across my videos, and she's very strong. Overall, she's a wifey. Next up, we have Lenny, the rat you see at the beginning of the game, who is basically just trying to scrape by. I think she's a little boring. We don't really get to see too much of her personality because, you know, all we see is her struggling to survive and scrape together enough money for food in the back streets. Then she comes to the library and gets demolished by no upgraded Roland. So not much going on there. I mean, aesthetically I like her, but she's just kind of boring. There's not much going on, you know? So yeah, we're just gonna kind of put her there. Don't have much else to say. Next up, we have Aerie. I'm putting her above her, but still kind of boring. She's got a little bit of spunk to her personality from what I remember, but at the end of the day, a lot of these early ones are going to be kind of quick because there's just not much going on with them. So yeah, she likes to fight. She's spunky, but she's kind of weak, all things considered, and doesn't do too much. So, Next up, we have Mo. I'm gonna put that one in Y because they're in the city. There are robotic replacement people that are a lot closer to humanoid in appearance, but they, from what we can tell, are like very shoddy to the point where their brain is affected and they can't think clearly, and they're almost all their body parts are replaced with metal in some way. So it's just like, why? What would I get out of it? Can't hug, can't hold hands, really? I mean, we could, but it would just be metal, and there's a chance they might accidentally over-tighten their grip and, like, crush my hand, and, like, they seem mentally just not all there, you know? So just like, why? Next up, we have... Actually, don't know who this one is, so I'm gonna move it for now and see if I come across him later. But I do know who this one is. This is Naoki, and, now, I know this might seem crazy to those of you who are familiar with the way I am with ladies, but I'm actually going to put her in Y. Put her above that, though, but... Because she is, like, in a sense, knife wife material, but she's kind of boring about it. Like, she just likes cutting people up. There's not much else to her personality that we see. Granted, we don't see much of it, but she kind of makes it... It's kind of like, funnily enough, Orin for me in, Baldur's Gate 3 in that she is too into the stabbing, like, for it to be something that I would be interested in, because that's like their entire personality is like they're crazy and they stab people. Like there's nothing else going on. Like it adds to it if it's like a topping, but when it's the entire dish, it does not taste good. Is the simplest way I'll put that. Next up we have Lulu, and I'm actually gonna put her in wife material. I really liked her back and forth she has with Mars, and you know, like the little arguments they have, but like that clearly belie the fact that they're really good friends and really care for each other. And then when she manages, or when he goes in and dies, how she goes on a rampage, basically. Like I can really respect that. You'll see why, especially later on in the list. But the only reason she's not higher is because we don't get to see too much of her, because, you know, that's kind of going to be the nature of a lot of the ones that are guests here. But, I don't know, I really liked her a little bit we got to see of her. She got a little bit of extra screen time. I guess that is technically fair, but, screen time, because we saw her, introduced in somebody else's, invitation, and before she got her own type of thing, so we got to see her twice, essentially. But, yeah, so I actually really like her. Next up, we have Pierre, and this is actually going to be a tough ranking, because she is also like a knife wife type of lady, but she's a chef, but she's a cannibal, and like very enthusiastically a cannibal as well, so it's going to be a little tricky. Let's see, let's put this for now. She's not boring, but I'm going to put her atop of Y as well, because you know, the whole cannibal thing is kind of a deal breaker for me, not gonna lie. Aesthetically, I like her a lot. I like the white hair, I like her outfit, I like some of her card art as well, but just why? I don't want to worry about her cutting me up and turning me into a meal because she got inspiration in her dreams or something. Next up, we have Julia. She's a little boring, I understand. We don't see her a ton, and she seems nice and all, but, you know, you need a little bit more than just being nice to rank higher. Isadora, I'm gonna put in acceptable. I liked her thought process, her psyche, her mentality about things in the city, and how things functioned, how she was trying to basically lie about the fact that she doesn't let her emotions get involved, but she clearly did have some. But, that said, as the case with many of these, we don't see her a ton, so that's kind of all we have to go off of for now. Next up we have Mika? I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with Mika because my dog's name is Micah, and that made me feel weird, but she's a little boring as well. She's basically kind of, funnily enough, a babysitter for her superior that drinks and all the time and whatnot, and that's kind of all we see of her, is her trying to just rein them in constantly. So I feel like she might be, you know, she might kind of get in the way of the vibe checks a lot, you know, like you might go to do something fun and she would just be like, we shouldn't be doing that type of thing. It's like, nah, just live a little. So we're gonna put her in like bottom of boring for now. I'll go like this, actually, I think. Olga is going probably to be at the bottom of acceptable for me. She likes to party a bit, but a little too much. Like, I don't like it when that's their entire thing, their entire gimmick. That said, she does clearly, like, you know, care a lot about the people around her and stuff, and I could see myself maybe starting a relationship with her, but I just don't know if it would go very far or last super long type of thing. But it might be fun. Next up we have Yuna. As far as, like, I suppose there's a small issue with the way I set up my tier list now. As far as, like, where I'd want to put her, it'd be, like, kind of right between wifeys and acceptable, but she's not really evil. So, because of that, I'm gonna put her at the bottom of wifeys. I like her aesthetic a lot. She's a go-getter-esque type of character. I like her interactions she has with Philip, and obviously the fact that Philip has a crush on her, can't really blame him for it. But we don't... Again, we just don't get to see a ton of her before she dies, so it's kind of tough to say too much, but just from the general aesthetics of what we had there, yeah, I'd say she'd be a wifey. What is this, Dalek? Is that their name? Yeah, Dalek. That is, like, case in point example of why. I mean, there's no privacy. She's got eyes and cameras everywhere, so she can see whatever you're doing, probably. She probably also can tap into, like, camera footage and has installed secret cameras that, you know, in your house if you're like dating her or something. And also, there's no face. You can't kiss her. Like, she's just a bunch of monitors. The best she could do is put an image of like a female on one of her screens or something. But even that, just why? That's like pinnacle why. There's just, I guess she's got looks like more humanoid than her in the sense that I think she has like humanoid body parts underneath her coat and stuff. And I like her outfit, I guess. So, but like, why? Sayo is, if evil, why hot? Dog shit personality. Very full of herself, very just no, as far as all that goes. Like, just a bitch, generally speaking. But, goddamn, if that aesthetic isn't pulling some heavy hits in for her. And she is decently strong, all things considered, so, you know. Next up, we got Tanya. Now, this might be one of my controversial ones, and feel free to, you know, call me whatever you want for this, or a furry or whatever, but I'm a big fan of Tanya. I like her aesthetic a lot. I like her straightforward personality about, you know, strength is all that matters, taken to extreme. It almost is reminiscent of Virgil in a sense of, like, power being all that matters in the city. And I can't really blame her for that philosophy, given her backstory stuff, which I'm not going to go into too many details, because, again, my playthrough in the channel isn't, but I really dig her aesthetic overall a lot. I like her personality. And I like her transformation as well. And just as a side note in general, like, I'm really big into, like, female werewolf aesthetic. So, again, call me a furry, call me whatever you want for that, but I'm a sucker for, like, strong, overpowering types of characters. And werewolves are, like, the most primal form of that as far as, like, you know, I'm concerned. So I'm really into that. So, next up we have Meow. I actually had to look up their name because I was like, I don't think it's Moo Moo, right? I thought that was a bunny bit. Yeah, Meow. This is actually a tough one. I'm actually gonna put her in the If Evil Why Hot because she's kind of got that psycho knife wife energy. But I like her aesthetic a lot more, and she's got more going on personality-wise than some of the other knife wife ones. Like, in that she's into the music of it, which is fucked up, honestly, in that, like, it's the music in question being the sounds of her beating the crap out of people and also the screams they make, but I don't know, she's just a little bit more interesting for me personality-wise, so I'm gonna put her in the Evil Why Hot category. I was scrolling and I found them. They're from the Full Stop office, okay, Tamaki. She's kind of, I'd say she's probably, like, top of boring. It's funny how many white-haired people in this category right now. She was, like, the least vocal overall of the characters we saw in that, and kind of much more reserved than the other two overall, I would say. But their story felt especially quick. Like, they didn't really have a whole lot happening. They, like, had a botched assassination because of the blue reverberation showing up, and then they kind of got just bodied and forced into going to the library. So, not much going on for them. We're going to put these two, though, together because they're basically identical by design and acceptable, I guess. Kind of like same issues as Tifraf, is like they have like spunky energy to them. So yeah, actually I would probably go more like that, I think. She from what I remember, this one was just kind of like a bitch. This one actually, it was like nice to Philip and was the only one that was willing to like sympathize with him a bit, but this one was just kind of like a bitch from what I remember. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, that's kind of all there is to that one. Mary is actually gonna go, I'd say she's a wifey. From the interactions we had on the train, her partner was very nervous, and she was very good about quelling his anxieties and being supportive of him. And it's very clear that you know, they had a very healthy relationship, and that she was a good person, all things considered, from what we saw. So, I don't really have much to put her below, like any reason to put her below this. It's just we don't see enough of her or know enough about her to put her up higher, and also she's kind of weak in that she just seems like a civilian, which is nothing wrong with that, but in a setting where there's possibilities for these really powerful people, I'm gonna lean more towards those. Mary, though, I will take no questions. Actually, I feel a little bad for them, though, given their setup. You know what? Should I put them in Must Protect? Nah. Yeah, I actually don't know if there's gonna be any that go in there, because Must Protect is basically for characters that are like too adorable for me to even think about wanting to loot or anything like that. And like that, like again, you just feel an overwhelming urge to protect. But I don't know if there's any that are in this game that are in that category, so it might be empty actually. Anywho, this character, what the hell was there? I gotta look this one up. I don't remember. Valerie. Yeah. Sweepers. Don't have. No. And I'm not even looking up your name either. Just no. 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 Bodyvore is something I am very much not into, and we don't even know what they actually look like, but all we see about them from their card art and their attacks, they have weird, The Thing-esque bodies, so no. Eugen's gonna be going in Best Girls. Probably the bottom of it, but again, very similar to Jabura / Kali. I love how she is so determined to protect those around her that she takes on so much more of the workload than others, to the point where, you know, she's at a quarter health when you fight her, and she's because she's protected people so much. Really dig that. I also like her aesthetic, you know. Wish we could maybe see out of her where she wasn't beat up and everything, because, you know, like, that does make me a little sad, seeing, you know, like, that type of aesthetic on people. But, you know, otherwise, I mean, she's just great. She's top tier in my opinion. Alright, and I'm gonna we're gonna have this one is going in Must Protect. When I see Tenma, is it Tenma or Tenma? Let me double check. Okay, it was Tenma. Yeah. When I see Tenma, I just feel like I want to, like, give him a hug and tell him things are gonna be okay, and, like, because they just have so much shit going on against them there, and, like, I don't know, that actually does bring out my protection protocol instincts type of thing. So we're gonna put her there, actually. Rose. They seem decent enough, I suppose, from what we saw of them. They're just kind of like doing their job type of thing, and their job is horrific, so they're a little bit desensitized. But yeah, I'm gonna put them together though, because they're pretty similar. I like her vibes. So I'm gonna put Lesty slightly above Rose. Maybe this wasn't a great... I'm sorry if this is a boring tier list. There's not a lot to discuss with some of these characters, you know. I really did like her personality and her aesthetic from what we saw, actually. So you know what? I'm actually gonna move her up here, because she's not evil, I don't think, so she wouldn't make sense there too much. So we're gonna put her at the bottom of Wifey. Because from what I remember, she was kind of, like, playful, and, I mean, even though she was like the newbie in that horrific field of cleaning up, like, and gathering body parts to try to reform the civilians and stuff like that. She was making jokes and even being, I think, even a little flirty from what I remember. So I remember liking her personality, and I like her aesthetic. I like that, like, tie hairstyle. I like the short hair on ladies, like the messy hair too. So yeah, we'll put her at the bottom of Wifeys. All right, Gloria is going in Best Girls. She's kind of like the prime example of, like, the knife wife type of aesthetic to me, or the character personality done very well, in that she likes killing and murder, but she's so playful and cheery and fun. We're actually gonna like this, I think. I really like Gloria. I wish we got to see more of her. She was just very fun. Actually, we did get to see a good amount of her, because when we were learning about the prescripts, I think we saw her here and there before she got invited type of thing. So, big fan of Gloria. The only thing keeping her lower than some of these other ones is I don't think she has, like, a human body at all, so that kind of removes a few points from her. All right, next up we have Catriel, however you pronounce that. I'm actually gonna put her in Wifeys. From what I recall, she was very much a earnest character who did what she believed was right type of thing, even if she was indoctrinated into the thumb lifestyle. I like that she, you know, was accountable for her things, because that's honestly something that I feel like a lot of adults aren't nowadays. They'll always make excuses, but she took accountability, even because, like, when she accidentally said something that was offensive to Angela when they visited, she took accountability and, like, if I remember, like, cut off her tongue type of thing, which, again, a bit extreme, but, you know, that's how the thumb is. But the fact that, you know, she owns up to her things, I like a lot. Also, aesthetically speaking, very nice. Purple is my favorite color and all. Also, she's got that nice little boob, you know, like boob window, whatever you want to call it, which is a pretty nice look. Yeah, she was just pretty decent, remember. May's going in Best Girls for me. I'm a big fan of the aesthetic she has, like the art hairstyle and, like, the outfit. And also, she was just so playful and fun, personality-wise, and, like, all the stuff we saw of the Liu Association, like, with Lowell and all of them. Like, she was very much making jokes, poking fun at, like, teasing them and stuff. I just really like her art style, her aesthetic, and her personality. Just kind of pulls it all together for me. Cecil is going to go in, I'd say, Waifus. I just, generally speaking, really like Liu Association characters a lot. They very much had like a family vibe, and we were like looking out for each other and had fun and whatnot. Even though what they're doing was dangerous and difficult. But she was, you know, less interesting to me than May is, for example. But I think she was overall pretty solid. Next up, we have Martina, and big fan of her aesthetic, big fan of her personality that we saw of her, and she seemed to care about like her compatriots a lot. Again, we saw very little of her, but what we saw was enough for me to be like very invested in her. I like her, like, you know, down, almost like somber, depressed, borderline like look she has to her. Yeah, I mean, I just really like her a lot. Next up we have Mio. She's gonna go probably around here. I think she's a good example of a knife wife as well, in that she literally uses like knives a lot, and she's crazy, likes to fight, but she's also very fun. She has a lot of personality and charm and humor to her. And right next to her, but behind her, I would say, is going to be Nikolai. Very no-nonsense, very badass, very tomboy energy. Very cool. I don't know. I like her. Next up, we have Zhao, and you'll notice we gave her a throne suing for her as a maiden of iron. She is my unequivocal best girl in the game. A long time ago, I even wrote an article ranking like top 10 like waifus from like various games and whatnot, and I put her, I think, at like number 7 for me. Like, very big fan. Maybe I'll make a video about her more specifically. But I love her personality. The sort of emotionally shut off character that realizes they weren't so emotionally shut off and they feel things deeply is a trope I do like a lot. I very much liked what we saw and what we heard of her relationship with Lowell and her, and I really liked the way she was in all of her like iterations going into the library, retreating, how she responded to those things. I like the way she tried to take on, again, like I mentioned with like, you know, Kali/Shibura and Yujin, how she was very much also trying to take on as much of the burden for herself to keep others safe. I really like that as well. I don't know if I want to go too long with this section though, because the video is already starting to get up there in length. But she's best girl. We'll leave it at that. Next up we have Moira. I gotta look her up actually. Moirai. Okay. I actually really like Moirai. I'm gonna put it right there, I think. Moirai was pretty fun, pretty funny, like, and she seemed like she had fun with her job that honestly was really boring looking, where she just basically is printing out things from a weird-ass machine. But from the interactions we had, I really liked her. Honestly, you see maybe like the least of her compared to some of the other ones. And even when Yan gets distorted, she still is just really chill and like, oh, huh, well, that's interesting, type of thing, so. I don't know, I just like your vibe. Next up, we have Iori. She's gonna go probably right here. Very high up for me. Big fan of her aesthetic, her personality. Even though she's probably like objectively evil, like, again, this is just for people where being evil is kind of like their main thing they have going for them. She's got a lot going on. She is almost playful in that she knows more than the other people, and she uses that fact to sort of give them bits of information that aren't enough to fully help them out, but like lead them in certain directions. And I don't know, like I said, I really just like her aesthetic a lot. I like that she's basically a gilf, you know, at this point too, which is fitting because if I remember right, Roland I think calls her grandma too or something. So like, I just really dig a lot of her, what she's got going on. So, and obviously she's quite powerful too. So next up we have Mirane. And the only reason I remember that one is because we literally used her name in a thumbnail recently. She seems like top of acceptable. Like, she seemed decent. She seemed very competent. She seemed badass. She seemed good at leading her people. But I don't know much about her besides how she conducts herself at work, basically, which was very professionally, mind you. But there's not a lot to work with there. Eileen, for me, I'm putting her in Y. I recognize that. This one in particular has a lot of personal bias, but a lot of you might be into it, especially because, from what I understand, she's like I think she has an actual pretty face underneath that from what I remember, but it's just I don't like the culty vibes. Obviously, that's an extreme one for me. And the fact that she is so forceful with her religion and putting it onto and forcing it onto other people, like for me, that's one of my biggest no-nos, and is forcing your religious beliefs on other people. You can, I believe you can believe whatever the hell you want. It could even be horrific and messed up. Like, it could be like you believe that humans are like worthless and that our existence is a mistake. But if you use that belief to do good and help other people, and you don't force it on them, or at the very least, if you let your beliefs justify being bad, like and doing bad things and whatnot. That's my biggest thing. And she tries to force her religion on people and make them believe that they're just a cog in the machine. And then she does horrific things with using her religion to justify it. She turns people into wheels in horrifically painful ways, and then, yeah, no, just no. I'm sorry, but I can understand why people might like her potentially, but no. Gloria is gonna go in. Ooh, this is a tough one. I think she's funny and like her personality a lot, and I kind of dig her aesthetic a little bit. As far as like it's very interesting and unique. Not big fan on like her later transformation, where she's got like the mouth stomachs and stuff. But I'm gonna put her. You know what? I'm gonna put her at the very, very bottom of wifey, just because. Like I said, I like her personality. She seems like she'd be a fun person to get together with. Obviously, she's very evil, but I wouldn't call her hot, so I'm not gonna put her in if evil, why hot. But you know, she's not so unappealing to me physically that I wouldn't. So you know, we're gonna put her there. Sue me. Next up, we have Elena. Now, I'm gonna put her as well in wifeys, I think. Actually, no, we're gonna put her at the top of Evil Why Hot, because she is very aesthetically pleasing, and I like both of her forms a lot. But she does some fucked up stuff. We're talking like ripping veins out of people level of horrific. Like, there's Knife Wife, and then there's that, which is a bit much for me. And kind of goes back into why I wasn't super big on Orin. That said, she's like, that's not like her main personality trait. It's just because she's a blood fiend, she has to do that, I believe. I don't remember specifically how blood fiends work, but I believe that's what she was called, or what her like race is or something. Like, she's not fully human, she's like something else, and like that's just like a side effect of it, is like the enjoyment and fulfillment out of that kind of activity. So it's not entirely her fault. It's like, you know, you enjoyed baseball. Well, what if in this universe baseball was fucking horrific? You know, like it's kind of like that. But maybe that's not a great comparison. I don't know. I'm not here to defend her or anything like that. So she's gonna go there. And next up, we have Carmen. The Carmen we see a lot in the game is not... I can't discuss too much about Carmen, but we see more of her later on at the end of the story. But what we see of her is very evil and twisted, I guess. From what we saw of, and we've heard of her, she seemed like a well-intentioned, charismatic character that ended up not being able to accept that basically her vision of the world and her hopes kind of got cut short and dashed, and she couldn't quite adjust to that and ended up taking her own life, which is tragic. I'm gonna put her in acceptable, in that before all this stuff happened, she would probably be a little bit higher up. But then after, with all that's happened, and also the fact that what she's done has kind of indirectly just like fucked the city really bad. I'm gonna put her there. I think that's kind of like a mix, because her post-mortem Carmen would be in the Y category, but like before, I could see her maybe just barely slipping into wifey. So we're gonna kind of average those out. This one, if it is Angelica, they're gonna go in best girls. If it's Roland in these specific outfit, if you know what I'm talking about, you know, they would also go in best girls. Actually, therefore, yeah, they're going in best girls. I'm assuming this is Angelica, though, like Roland's wife, before everything goes to shit, basically. They have she's very strong from what I understand, and she has a very fun person. Actually, let's put her here. The reason we're gonna put her below these four is she is taken. She seemed very just like all around great. She's fun, funny, caring, protective. Like, she kind of seemed like a full package deal, you know, to me, from what I could see of the flashbacks. So very tragic what happens to her. Last up, we have Xena, whatever her name is. I had to look this one up, actually. I don't remember it, because, I mean, you very, very briefly interact with her. That said, I will say about her, I think this is kind of a prime example of what If Evil, Why Hot is, in that she's very much just an evil bitch, you know. She's part of the head. I won't say too much about what she does, just in case you are watching my series, and don't want to be spoiled. But she very much is just full on. She goes to the library, bitch, tear it all down intent type of thing. Doesn't have a whole lot going on to her personality wise, but goddamn if I'm not. I like the aesthetic that the arbiters in the head and all of them like have. Very big fan of all that. So, and she's very strong. So, don't mind these two. I don't know why this one was there. They were just there. And this was, I tried. Mary wasn't in here, so I tried adding full art of her, and it just cropped to this because I couldn't choose how to crop it. So then I had to add this art of Mary instead. So, anywho, that's the list. Let me do a run back and see if there's any rearranging to do. Alright, yeah, no, I think these are all in the proper order. These two are the only ones that I, like, depending on the day and my mood, that would swap places potentially, but otherwise, pretty accurate to my list, I would say. I will be taking no questions. Thank you.